This is a short video on how I make a cigar box guitar, or a homemade guitar anyway. As this time I'm using an art box that I picked up off eBay. I'm going to make it from that, plus this offcut of wood. I just buy cheap offcuts, and also over here I've got some fret wire. Put that in the light. Got some machine heads, decent quality ones, single coil pickup with volume and tone control, and I've got a bone nut there. I don't have a bridge yet because I usually make my own, so I'll do that a bit later on. I pick up all these parts off eBay for quite cheap, usually from China, but machine heads I tend to get from the UK because they seem to be better quality in my experience anyway. I'm not sure if I'm going to make a 3 or 4 string guitar yet. I'll decide that along the way, along with probably everything else. So that's stage 1. So first thing I need to do is work out the length of the piece of wood that I need. I usually make my guitars the same as a Fender Stratocaster, 25.5 inch scale. I don't really need to measure them out anymore because I've got this guitar here that I use, which to my ear has perfect intonation, but it's just one that I use in the shed for measurements. So it's got a neck through design, so it comes through at the back here, but recently I've not been doing that. I've just been buttoning the wood up to the inside of the end of the box. So what I'll do is I'll line up the wood. This is all quite rough. I'll line up the wood to the end of the box and put the other guitar beside it. Then I can work out roughly where the bridge is going to go. Also, I'm considering some other stuff here, so the box is a lot bigger than the cigar box, so I'm not going to have room for as many frets unless I do a fretboard that goes over the top. So I've worked out here that I think I'm going to do a 14 fret guitar just up to the end of the box here. I'm not going to do any stuff on top. I like to keep it nice and simple. So as you can see along here, the 14th is there's 12, 13, 14, sorry 12, 13, 14. So the 14th fret is going to be just inside the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that along a little bit and just make sure that I've got enough room on the neck for 14 frets before it hits the box. So then I'll go back over here, which is all really technical, and then I'll work out that my bridge should be roughly there. So I'll just mark that lightly in pencil just now, and that's that. I've usually got plenty of room to work with, so I can make adjustments towards the end. Also with the box, I always try and keep it round the right way from which I'm going to be actually making the guitar, so that I don't, have it the wrong way around. I like to have the latches down the way, and so you can open it up like that. Then come up to the headstock here. So I've marked the bridge, so I'll do the same again roughly. I'll go for where the nut would be roughly, and I'll leave myself plenty of headstock. So again, dead technical, I'll just mark that there for the nut. If I'm a couple of millimetres out here and there, I've got plenty of room to sort that out later on, so I do that. And then I mark another line for where my headstock's going to end. You have to consider probably a slightly longer headstock when you're doing a 4-string guitar. I'll try and leave as much room as I can, because as I said before, I don't know if I'm going to do a 3 or 4-string guitar yet, so I'll just put a line about there just now, because that should give me plenty of room. And then I'll just chop the wood there. So I drew a line on the wood there where it needed cut with my T-square and chopped it off. And that's the line there roughly for where the headstock starts. I also need to work out where the guitar body starts, so I've drawn a line on the wood there, and where it'll butt up to inside the box. And you can usually tell because there's the join on the wood there. That's where the joint is, so just roughly it'll be about there. I need to work that out because I need to know how much of the wood I need to take off. I'll probably have a bit of a heel here, and then I have to make that thin enough to play, so along here I'll be cutting out a wood down to the headstock, and then I'll have to obviously have a drop for the headstock here because I don't do a separate headstock and join it on. I do it all from one piece of wood, so I'll drop and then an angle down here so that there's tension for the strings. So I'll just do that now. So now I need to work out what bits of the wood I'm taking out. So I marked where the headstock starts on the side of the wood as well, and where it meets the box on the side of the wood as well. And then I've put a line here between the two around about 22, 23 millimeters, something like that. I think 20 millimeters is what I want to get down to when it's rounded off and stuff. But I want to leave enough to play with, and then it will sort of smooth off. It's just rough to the headstock. There's where the nut will sit, and then I'll either have an angled headstock like that, or I'll drop it straight, just as long as there's enough tension for the strings. Both are fine. And same up here, I've got it coming towards the box and a bit of a heel here. I'll probably have it a bit shorter than that, but it's better to start off with more wood and then cut down to less. So I'll just go and cut that away now. So no real science to this. I'm not a joiner, so I could be doing the complete wrong thing, but what I do is turn it over, so this would be the bottom of the guitar neck, and I'll just notch, or I'll cut lines through the wood to the line, and I'll just chip that out with a chisel. So rough and ready, I've cut out the bottom part of the neck. That will all get smoothed off and rounded round, and there's the heel there that I've still to smooth off and cut out a little bit, round it off. And at the headstock here, I've cut there. The nut's going to go in this little slot here, but I've not cut that out yet, but that'll go probably a little bit deeper just so that it nestles in there. There's a bit of an angle in the headstock. I've drawn a line where it's going to be cut out there as well. So I'm just smoothing this off with a good wood file. Just till it's, it's not smooth, but it'll all be sanded down and rounded a bit later on. I'll not bore you with the rest. So I've cleaned that up a bit. It's still quite thick because I need wood to work with, so I can round it down. This is the back of the neck. This is where the headstock comes in, and I've filed that down as well. There's a slight incline there for the back of your hand, and over at this end this is the heel where it's going to meet the box. If I can get the light to work in here, and I'm just rounding that off so that it's nice and smooth and round. So I'll just finish that off. So now I've got the neck clamped so that I can smooth it off and round it. So I've drawn a line which is exactly down the middle of the neck at the back, and I'm just going to use a rough chisel, round it off, and then I'll go over it with a hand sander. So that's the rough wood filing done, bit of shape there towards the headstock, and it's rounded, as you may or may not be able to tell from that, and there's a heel there, and I'm going to sand that down with a hand sander. So hopefully you can see that's quite smooth and rounded, smooth to the touch. I'd probably find little bits and bobs that I really like to sand down a bit further later on. There's the heel. Excuse me. Now I'm going to turn it over and lightly sand the top of the headstock and also the fretboard, because it's got a few sort of little bumps and things. So I'll just do that now. This is the top half. You see it's got some scores in the top half of the headstock, and then you can see some sort of dents. It is just an off cut. So I want to smooth all that out. I forgot to say earlier as well, I'll make a recess here where it meets the box, so that this is above where it meets the box, so that there's a lot of room for the strings to go over and meet the bridge. So that's the top of the headstock sanded smooth, and fretboard, so it's sort of a deeper, a little dink there that, you know, I'm not going to go any further with. I've smoothed it slightly rounded at the edges. Flipping light in here. I'll probably go over it again with some sandpaper or something towards the end to smooth it all off a bit more, but that's pretty much ready to be joined to the box. So now I have to work out where it joins the box here. So I have to measure it. This is where it's going to butt up to on the inside. So very technical this. So it's right there, without moving it too much. So I had that line earlier, it doesn't look too bad actually. So I think I'll probably go back just a little bit, just a millimetre. But yeah, it's not too bad. So if I draw a line along the top there, I'll drop that by about, I don't know, 5-6 millimetres, something like that. It depends on the thickness of the top of the box here, so I'll measure that first. But I want it to sort of rise above the top of the box as it meets it. So I'll just go and do that now. Very technical. So to measure the thickness of the lid, you can see where it joins along there, so you just measure what that is and then add on how many millimetres you want the neck to go above that, which, you know, I probably do about 5 millimetres. So I think that I measured that earlier, that's about 3 millimetres. So what I want to do is take about 8 millimetres out of there all the way along, and then that should be that. Also, this was just some sort of foam insert that was inside the box, so I'll sand that out as well. So that's the shape of the neck, almost complete. Taking that bit of wood out there. So once I've notched a hole in the box, that should sit above it. The part that I've taken out, I find is quite handy to keep, because if that is not the width of the inside of the box, which I'm pretty sure it won't be, I'll need something to, because I like it to hit the lid of the box and the bottom for stability, so a thin piece of wood like that might just actually be enough. If not, I'll have to cut a new bit.